in the stoplight system and or the green light system, whatever, the traffic light system would be a fair way to represent it. And as I've described this, I've always said that solo staking is top, then pooled staking, and then centralized exchanges. And what the EDDC is doing is working through those pooled exchanges to help rank them in terms, or not rank them, but vet them in terms of viability. And I developed this and have shared it privately a little bit, and have had very mixed reviews about whether it is a beneficial tool or whether it is an ultimately harmful tool for the community. And before I continue to push it or think about it, I just would like to get feedback from this group. And I realize people on the live stream or people who view a recording will see it, but I'm hesitant to tweet it or post it until I feel comfortable that it's the right move.
I think this makes complete sense, personally.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm on board with this.
So, regardless of whether it makes sense, is it appropriate? Does that?
I think it's appropriate. I think the counterpoint is, I think it's very appropriate. The counterpoint's going to be, from a security standpoint or from whatever standpoint you see, are the centralized exchange stakings, like is staking with Coinbase, like that much worse or whatever? And so like there's going to be people who are mad that it's red, but I think like breaking down, what's solo staking, what's non-custodial for over 32 ETH, what's custodial and what's centralized exchange staking, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. And I plan to supplement this with likely a video and possibly a blog post that kind of highlights this is not about personal funds security. This is a combination of personal fund security and network security because they're all kind of tied together. And while if I stake with Coinbase, I'm pretty confident I'm going to get my funds back. What I'm not confident about is that if everyone stakes with Coinbase, that the network remains healthy. So that's
that angle makes complete sense.
Two comments, Hank. One, I think what you just said about combination of network security and personal fund security really needs to be implicit or made clear right in maybe the words at the top, or maybe it's made very clear right in the words in the color. I don't know, but I like what you said. I'm just saying I think you need to make that implicit be explicit, and that's key.
Okay.
The other thing's a really minor thing. I don't know. I'm not going to give an opinion yet on the top three, but just the wording in the bottom one, it seems to me to be better to say staking via a centralized exchange.
That's
and not capitalized, centralized, and exchange. But the action, the verb is staking, and it's via a centralized exchange. Just seems clear to me. I don't know if that logic makes sense. Oh, and then the other comment I'll make on the green one, it just seems to me that, again, one of the things they liked me at Consensus, or at least different teams would, they'd have me evaluate their product. Because even though I had a career in tech, and I used to code back in the 70s and 80s, and then I managed products clear till 2005, I really look at this whole ecosystem ever since I have for the last 5 years I've been in it, trying to wear the hat of a more newbie person and a less technical person. And that's really hard. I mean, I trained as a double E too, but I mean, I'm not as close to it as like poor Terrence, who's in the GitHub every day and living it. So I can kind of wear the idea of being outside it. Anyway, the thought is, as a noob on solo staking, it would be good if you also just made clear that's running your own hardware and software at home and keeping up with the technical crap. It's exactly why I haven't done it. I'm more than technically competent to do it. I just don't want to spend the hours to think about it, which is why I haven't done it yet. And I want to. Those are probably will.
Those are great feedback. And I will tell you that
inside the beltway kind of talk for us guys, but it doesn't talk to the noobs.
You're right. Now, I want to move on with the vetting, and I deeply appreciate this time because I've really had a difficult time with this. I appreciate you pointing out that I need to explicitly state that those two purposes, because some of the hesitant feedback I've received is that the only way this can possibly done is to be like a two-factor array or like a matrix, and that for me makes it more complicated. And I just was so interested in making it as simple to consume as possible, and I think that statement kind of meets that bar without overcomplicating it. So that's helpful.
Awesome.
Wouldn't it be possible to have it a two-dimensional by saying that one is the risk, your personal risk, funds involved, and the other is the risk for the network? And then non-custodial would be in the center basically, and the other ones would be more towards on the one axis.
That is the alternate idea, and the third idea is a Venn diagram. I'm not opposed to any of those. I think it's worthwhile pursuing all of them, but at this moment, as I'm moving, trying to get it out, I feel like first we do it simple, and then we expand it to make it more informational, if that makes sense. Because it's such a new concept to so many people that I wanted to begin with the ground floor, and then as I grow, get into the dimensional array and the Venn diagram so that people can suss out what it really means for them. At any rate, I do appreciate the time. I feel like, thank you, Philip, for that feedback, and thank you, Kirk. I'm good.
Awesome. So let's go now to the EDDC pooled vetting page, which thank you, Superfizz, for pulling that up. We're just going to continue where we left off, which is with Stakefish. So what country is your business based out of? Malta. I definitely think this is a green. It's one of the friendliest regulatory environments for crypto companies. Are you confident that you are adhering to all the necessary regulation for the jurisdiction you are in? Yes, but we've been marking this as yellow until we get further information disclosures. How much control do you have over users' funds? Do you hold 0, 1, or 2 keys? Yes, I presume that means they have control over users' funds, but there's not enough information there. If they have full control over users' funds, that would be a red. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
All right. Do you have any insurance in case funds are lost? No, we will refund any fees in the event that slashing that has not been caused by client or network failure or bugs has occurred. Well, it's...
What in the
Good.
I'm not sure if I acted too quickly, but in the spirit of relativity, no is red.
Yeah, I would also say it was red. It'd be nice if they can guarantee all the funds will be refunded, but if enough people stake with them, that might not end up being viable if a cataclysmic event happens where they get slashed to the nth degree. So, I find this statement a little questionable, but, we're red anyway, so we don't need to stick on it. What is your company's history in the cryptocurrency space? Our sister company, F2 Pool, was founded in 2013 and is the longest running mining pool. Stakefish has been running validators for blockchain projects from 2018.
That's consistent with my experience with Stakefish so far. And it does meet that standard of having been in the space and being knowledgeable about the space.
So I would say put that at green. Would everyone agree?
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. Who are your team members and what are their academic and professional backgrounds? Our key team members are Wang Chun, who has been running the F2 Pool, a key infrastructure project in the proof of work space from 2013 without any major hiccups. Christian Lucara, who has 2 decades of experience managing infrastructure and security for enterprises. Ben Stefanina, who has been with 14 years of experience building performance critical server-side applications.
That was my fault. Madison, I made a snafu and I muted you, and I'm sorry. Somebody's mic has a lot of feedback right now, and I was trying, it's not yours, but I did mute you trying to resolve that, and I'm so sorry.
I think it's Kirk.
I will mute.
There you go.
Yes, it was Kirk.
All right, so I'll just repeat. Who are your team members and what are their academic and professional backgrounds? Our key team members are Wang Chun, who has been running Ep2 Pool, a key infrastructure project of the Proof of Work space from 2013 without many major hiccups. Christian Lucera, who has 2 decades of experience managing infrastructure and security for enterprises. Denny Sokahina, who has 14 years of experience building performance-critical server-side applications and services and has consistently contributed to open source projects. I'm not as familiar with these individuals, so if anyone's familiar with these individuals or know the team. I do know of F2 Pool, but
Yes.
how do we want to? Okay, perfect. You're writing this down.
I still think it's fair to give them the same benefit of the doubt, but I do think that we should follow that up with verifying it. It's not their fault that we're not familiar. It doesn't mean they've failed a standard. It means we're just not aware. So by flagging it and still assuming that it's green, then I think we give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Unless
if you are using smart contracts, have they been audited? Yes, our batch deposit contract has been audited by Runtime Verification. The link to the audit report is available here. So I think we decided last time that we're going to stick this as yellow, correct? So no auditing would be red, auditing would be yellow, and no smart contracts would be green. Is that how we do it? But then there's not many that would fit into the green category.
well, they actually say the audit report is available. I don't have the IPFS link didn't open, but green is audited by reputable auditors, and Runtime Verification is a reputable auditor, and it is available for review. That is technically our green standard.
All right. So thanks for pulling that up, because that gives us definitely more structure that we needed, and I'd forgotten about that. Runtime verification. Does everyone know that? Yeah, Kirk?
Yeah, I'm just asking a process question. As I've said before, I'm not evaluating these individuals right now, but the process question is this. When somebody says our batch deposit contract has been audited, that's cool. And I go, okay, that's cool. And it's going to be green because it's audited. But what I don't know the answer to, and this doesn't say, so I depend on you guys to say, is does this company have 3 other security holes where something isn't? Oh, their batch, it could be I have 3 contracts and the ABC contract is audited, or A is audited, but B and C isn't. In other words, we're turning them green on audits without actually asking the question of how thorough and what's the coverage and scope. That's the feedback for you guys to talk about. And I'll take my mic off.
Yeah, and I can also vouch for runtime verification. We've used them for the ETH2 deposit contract, and they're heavily used in the industry, and it's one of the best out there.
I would like to point out that in our role as due diligence, this is a first pass.
Yep.
It is not exhaustive, and so my understanding is that we take what is offered at face value and then continue to iterate on that to improve the quality of the vetting. We had discussed earlier, if we stop at every block to dig in, then we could end up spending a week on each individual block, which prevents the ultimate goal.
I agree. So I think from that discussion, it's green for now. Obviously, we'll further look into it and dig deeper. This is really just the first pass. Describe your staking setup. Do you have your own servers? If no, which hosting provider are you using? Which clients are you using? How many nodes are you using? Do you have some sort of redundancy built in? We will be using multiple hosting providers, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, and DigitalOcean across multiple regions, at a minimum one in Asia, Europe, and Americas. We have built our platform primarily using Prism and Lighthouse, with the plans to integrate additional clients after the beacon chain is stabilized. We plan to have at least 10 nodes, with additional ones deployed depending on how many validators we manage. We can quickly and programmatically spin up validators in the rare event one of our existing nodes stop functioning properly. Based on our experience running validators and other proof-of-stake networks, we prioritize double signing protections and real-time monitoring and incident management systems over redundancy measures. We have applied the same level of discipline on running infrastructure on other networks to our beacon chain validators. So I think we have a rating guide for this one as well. Is that correct, Superfizz? Yep. So, exactly.
I do like those rating guides. We should continue to develop and use those.
100% makes it a lot more efficient. Who is invested in your business? Is there venture capital? Is there a token? If there is a token, what is it used for? Stakefish is fully self-funded by Wong Chun. We do not have any tokens and do not have any plans to issue one for the foreseeable future. So I think that would be green according to the system we came up with. How much are you charging for your staking services? A one-time flat fee of 0.1 ETH until withdrawals are enabled.
I think that's a neat pricing structure. I'm kind of interested by it. I'd like to. So I definitely, personally, feel like that's green, but I'm interested by how that would play out in the long run.
Agreed. That's the best pricing structure. I mean, for me personally, I would like that one the best, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now it's $60, but if ETH goes to 3K, then it's suddenly, anyway, it's sort of it kind of, and I don't want to steal time, it implies a built-in early bird system.
Awesome. So I think let's move to the next one. Staker by Ankar. I apologize if I'm butchering the names. Who are your team members and what are their academic and professional backgrounds? Chandler Song, CEO of Ankar. Stanley Wu, CTO of Ankar. Mehmet Kiraz, security researcher at Ankar, senior lecturer at cyber security at De Montfort University. Suleiman Kardas, blockchain researcher at Ankar, associate professor at Batman University. Dmitry Salvanin, senior blockchain developer at Ankar, ex-CTO of LA Token.
So does anyone know any of those people? I'm not personally familiar with them, but that, again, as the previous, doesn't make it incorrect, just not known to us.
Exactly. I don't know any of these people. I know LA Token. LA Token's an aggressive exchange with their own digital asset that you know, it's a little controversial, but
I think that's fair to be green. I would like to, I know that your screen was scrolled over, but we had been beginning with the country of origin on these.
good call. Yep, that is totally my fault.
That's no big deal.
So, what country is your business based out of? U.S. I think that would be green.
What's
Are
the
you-
rating system for this again? Do we have one?
We don't, but Lemboshi actually posted something today about what for Estonia that I'll point to once we get to Estonia that might indicate our first one that we don't give green. Effectively, what we're trying to evaluate is are you operating the business legally, or, you know, we're not lawyers, but from our perspective or from what we can gather legally in the country you're doing. So like, Malta, it's going to be green. Switzerland's going to be green because of their crypto regulations. I think it's green for USA, United Kingdom, and Israel. Estonia. Go ahead.
I might be tempted to argue that the U.S. could be trending yellow, but it's difficult to really. But in interest of the benefit of the doubt, I think it's most fair to.
See, I would argue also that's kind of why I was picking at it a little bit. I really do think that I could go one way or the other. I'm not going to be butthurt if it's green, but I still think there's a caution on U.S. I would even argue that for Great Britain as well. And the only reason I say that is because it's uncertain. We don't have a definitive feeling yet set in stone in the U.S. of which way we want to go with that. And we don't necessarily have the most welcoming laws, and they're checkered throughout states. Versus like a gold standard for a green, which is, I think we've all come to that same consensus, like a Switzerland. So if we compare U.S. to that, I think it falls a little short.
And that's a good point. It's if these stakers are custodying customers' funds, you'll most likely need money transmitter licenses to operate in the United States. But that sort of thing, like all the others would also need money transmitter licenses if they're taking U.S. customers. Now, no one's excluding U.S. customers, right? Or specifically saying we're not taking U.S. funds, or they can't even check that. They'd have to KYC for that, and they're not KYCing.
Right.
So if that's it's a little hairy for all of them in that scenario.
Yeah, and
I think the thing that would really make sense is for us to find a third-party entity, another third-party entity who already has, you've got like the CIA fact book or something that has already sort of ranked these countries. I don't know that as a due diligence committee for beacon chain staking that we really have the bandwidth to delve into, those assessments as well, other than maybe they're publicly acknowledging where they are incorporated or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that makes sense. Yep. So I think green for now, subject to change, obviously. Are you confident that you are adhering to all the necessary regulations for the jurisdiction you are in? The answer would be yes. We've been marking that as yellow for everyone. And as Superfish is writing that out, how much control do you have over other users' funds? Do you hold 0, 1, or 2 keys? We use BLS threshold signature to make sure not a single party owns all the keys.
Does it?
It doesn't tell me if they, who still owns those keys. Is it,
I was okay. No, I got two concepts mixed up, and I'm trying not to speak out of my league. But I do know of another company that I consider very reputable doing a similar approach. I don't know if they're doing it the same way, but the other company who is doing a similar approach is well regarded for doing that. Terrence, do you have any insight into that?
Personally, I have not any insight of this. Personally, I will probably give you a yellow pending. This is a good trending towards a good direction, but we do need more details to basically get it to green.
Yeah, so and the reason, the ones we've given green in the past is customers maintain control of the withdrawal key. So we've given 2 of those who have said that. That green, we gave Bitcoin Suisse green, even though they didn't say that's how they set it up. I would be interested in learning to make sure not a single party owns all the keys, and is one of the keys owned by the user or all the keys not owned by the user.
I don't know if it's appropriate to go back and revisit Bitcoin Suisse right now, because when we're talking relatively, this could be the same answer as Bitcoin Suisse stated in a different way. And I don't know where to take that. It is what it is.
Yep. To me, that's the one that we can look into further after we're done with these evaluations. We'll obviously do further due diligence. This is for time's sake, and that's one we can look into further.
Yeah.
So what is our coding for this?
I think yellow for now. What do you got?
That's fair.
Yep.
Superfist, why do you think that 2 is the same or similar answer to using a BLS threshold signature?
Because isn't BLS combined signatures, assuming that they're using the BLS equivalent of a multisig?
So I wouldn't have implied. So personally, I wouldn't imply that the answer 2 implies using a BLS threshold signature.
Oh no, I did not. The point is the 2 doesn't imply anything. That it could be interpreted in any way, and to give them a green based on something that's so wide open for interpretation, while giving a yellow to something that is narrow and more specific.
Yep, totally agree.
Okay, and that's why I flagged this as needs review, but because it's not appropriate now to go back and reevaluate Bitcoin suites in the middle of things.
Yep. Makes sense.
Do you have any insurance in case funds are lost? Blank, so that would be a red, presuming that was a no or didn't feel comfortable answering that. What is your company's history in the cryptocurrency space? Anchor was founded in 2017 and has been a leading Web3 infrastructure provider, helping over 4,200 individuals and over 100 companies with node and staking infrastructure.
And so while I'm not personally familiar, I know that I've listened a bit of due diligence. I lagged out, didn't I?
I went out as well. I couldn't hear anyone.
Yeah, you're lagging out there a little bit.
I have heard Colin say that he is familiar with this company and a bit of their history. So based on what they say and based on his recollection, it seems like this is fair.
All right. Then I would say green based on that. If you're using smart contracts, have they been audited? Yes, by 2 auditors, Surtech and Biosin. Does anyone know Surtech and Biosin? I've never seen those names. Doesn't mean that they're not legit. I just don't know. I think that go ahead.
That's easy yellow.
Yep, agreed. Describe your staking setup. Do you have your own servers? If no, which hosting provider are you using? Which clients are you using? How many nodes are you using? Do you have some sort of redundancy built in? Staker has a marketplace for node providers where people can spin up a server on their own, use public cloud, or use Anchor's one-click Ethereum node setup via Anchor.com to contribute to the network and earn extra commission. For Anchor's infrastructure, it has built-in redundancy in multiple locations with private racks and up to 10 gigabytes per uplink, or 10 gigabytes uplink.
Terrence, can you provide some perspective on this? I think that you have some knowledge here.
Yeah, first and foremost, Anchor had a slashing incident a couple weeks ago. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. 10 of their validators got slashed because they had the risk conditions where their staking setup did not have a surround vault protection. That to me was pretty concerning. So I'm pretty sure they have fixed it for now, but given that incident, I'm slightly still concerned. And for the setup, I will probably give it yellow since it's comparable with Stakefish and Attestation. They all have very similar setup here.
So my question becomes, is it appropriate for us to include, because a lot of this in due diligence is including information that we're aware of from the ecosystem, with nothing against Anchor. If they were otherwise yellow and this is all that I knew, I would be okay with yellow. But the fact that we have additional history tends to cloud my perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree on that front. And whether or not that fixed it or not is still concerning in that sense.
Yeah, I would personally even endorse maybe adding like a column on the side just saying whether there's been any known adverse events with relation to any of these pools, and this would just be considered one of those adverse events.
Yeah, so James, I actually completely agree with you, but we did say in the last meeting that for process types of questions, we wanted to keep it in the Discord channel, and then
Yep,
add it after. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. I agree with the thought though completely, and if you post it on the Discord channel, I would definitely say, I think we should do this for future meetings, and we can discuss it there.
Yep, my bad.
No, not a problem. So what are you thinking overall, you guys? Yellow?
Yeah.
I would even be fine with putting it as a red because I mean the incident for me they showed that there at least were some technical difficulties or at least they didn't. I mean if their slashing protection doesn't include surround voting, then this is concerning, and this kind of.
If due diligence doesn't include the things that we know, then is it really due diligence? If we say, well, that we know about this thing that happened, but we're probably not going to include that in our due diligence. I don't know if that's really due diligence.
Yep, I agree. So it sounds like red is the consensus.
Yep.
Awesome. So let's mark that one as red. Then we have who's invested in your business. Is there venture capital? Is there a token? If there is a token, what is it used for? Previous investors, Pantera Capital, Lemnis Gap, DHVC, NGC. There is a token called ANKR token. It's used for provider insurance to compensate potential slashing loss, governance to propose metric changes, profit sharing in the network, uses a liquidity token for a bond like Ethereum called AETH that stands for the underlying Ethereum plus future staking rewards. I think according to our process, that would be yellow. Is that correct?
I believe that's what we discussed yesterday.
Perfect. Then I'd just stick that as yellow. How much are you charging for your staking services? ETH stakers receive between 77% to 86%, depending on how they leverage a liquidity token AETH. There are opportunities to stake AETH or Anchor tokens. Node providers receive 12%. The team receives 2% to maintain the project and pay gas fee to upgrade smart contracts. Based on our prior valuations, I would stick that as green. Would you guys agree?
Yep.
All right. Stake-wise.
Oh, before we move on, just as a comment, maybe this is also process related, but what I also found concerning regarding the incident was the way they were communicating their foundings or the incident to the outside. So it took them, I guess 48 hours to respond, to make a public statement about that, and to make any public statement about that. There was no communication on any channel, and this is not the best practice, I would say. So I don't know where it fits in, but maybe also process related. We need to find a way how to include that.
I think, as Madison said, and again, with the other point that was brought up that was process related, we're definitely discovering improvements we can make to the process, but we have a commitment to finishing this round with this process and then doing a process improvement round. So definitely valuable, definitely worth bringing up and making a note of, but also best to wait until after we finish this round.
Agreed. So stake-wise, what country is your business based out of? Estonia. So this is interesting, and I want to direct people now to Nolan or Lamboshi's post in the Discord. He linked a Decrypt article talking about how 1,000 cryptocurrencies lost licenses in Estonia because of strict regulation. So in this scenario, I actually say that we mark either yellow or red.
So I'm certainly not an expert in that regard, but it's fair to say that in Estonia it's pretty easy to become e-resident and then open up your own business. There was regulation, and there was regulation beforehand. This was more or less the case that a lot of companies thought that they would comply, that where they didn't with the law. So I don't know how that relates to whether that is a green or not, but just wanted to put out there.
It's a good point. So I'm reading through this article. It's really about the companies that are established in Estonia just not actually having a connection there. They're more just like headquartered there. Or like they're more of an office there in name only.
Yes, and that's because it's just more or less a form that you need to fill out to become e-resident, and then you go to your embassy or to the embassy and then become e-resident, and then you can create your own business there, and it's just very, very simple to do so. And so that attracted a lot of businesses that are crypto related. Also because their tax laws are quite beneficial in the way that you only need to pay tax when you take money out, and then so there are different reasons why a lot of crypto related businesses out there. I don't know whether the current quote unquote crackdown has really a negative impact on this column.
Is that loaded? Is that loaded phrasing? Should I not call it a crackdown? I don't intend to. I'm not trying to flavor it by my comment. I was just trying to document.
I think it's fine. You know, I think it's so it seems like the two arguments here are, well, if it's Stakewise's primary clients are not going to be based in Estonia, right? The primary users aren't going to be based in Estonia. We don't know. We can maybe look to see if their individuals, their operators are in Estonia. Like if we look up their team member names. But then the other argument is, you know, it's really targeting, this crackdown's been targeting scammers and people who are just coming to Estonia and not doing any business there whatsoever. Is that a good summary?
Yeah. To short circuit this, I think that we're very likely to resolve this to yellow. It makes sense, instead of working for a long time to determine if we're going to make it yellow, to just recognize that is the 99% likelihood, if that seems fair.
I'm okay with that.
Yep, I would agree.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's not even due diligence. Maybe that's like a presumption.
No,
I think we need a more clear guideline how to evaluate this column in general, because I think if we look closer to what the regulations are in all those countries, then we will discover that some of those might not be green. But we haven't done that, and so yeah.
And to be fair, earlier in my notes, I suggested that green was simply that they disclose, as in they are incorporated in some country. And maybe as we progress, we can tease that out.
Hey guys, I hate to do this, but I have an emergency I got to deal with. Apologize. I'm gonna have to hop off real quick.
Okay, take care, Madison. Thank you.
Sorry about this, guys.
No problem.
Hopefully this call won't end. I don't know if it'll end because I was hosting it or not, but I apologize for that as well.
No worries at all. Take care of yourself.
Take care.
Oh, we're still here.
Cool.
Kirk, are you comfortable stepping up just for the remainder? Or we have actually just started stake-wise. It would also be okay if we could easily finish 3 on the next meeting.
I think I'll pass because of the agenda I got this morning. I've got a major role in the next meeting that's coming in 15 minutes. And
Sure.
I'm already starting to think a little about it. So.
Sure. Okay, no problem. You focus on that, and we will. So that leaves 5 of us. I'm going to remain silent and give everyone else a chance to weigh in about, and let's just try in the next 2 or 3 minutes to come to a conclusion and move from there.
In terms of the direction we want to go, or in terms of evaluating the last 3 here?
Yeah, so the direction being, do we want to continue evaluating with Madison offline, or do we go ahead.
I think it kind of feels like a natural breaking point here. I think given having this round today really flowed well, and I think I see no reason why we can't maintain that and do these last 3 in the next meeting.
Okay. Can I ask, does anyone have available bandwidth to begin looking at the country question as far as finding kind of a third-party metric that we might use as a plug-in here to say if they're on this list or if they have this ranking, or that we use as a proxy? Does anyone have bandwidth for that?
Yeah, I can start doing.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. I'm pretty interested in it, so I can be one of the people that help with that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to engage with that as well if it's helpful.
Okay. Jaycon and Michael, if you guys want to just, and again, the intention really is to just find an already prepared list that we can use as a safe reference that kind of plugs in. And if we don't find something that plugs in, that's absolutely okay.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we will plan to catch up on Friday or Wednesday. I'm sorry,
Yep.
My apologies. And I feel like we could probably get through the rest of these. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.